Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're in the Porsche GT3 car, this time at Oulton Park for another track guide. This lap was done with a fixed setup and a track temp of 20 degrees. This car is really fun to drive, however the chicanes in the middle of the track can be difficult to stay consistent with. For those who are new here, I show a fast lap first and then do a guided lap afterwards. Let's get into it. For turn 1 I brake just after the kink in the grass on the left side of the track and I use third gear. My initial brake pressure is around 75% and I trail off very quickly to carry the speed in. I turn in at the end of the banners on the left to get a late apex. I trail brake to the inside curb and I aim to apex at the end of it. You can cut some of the grass on the inside to get a better run, and I also get back on throttle at the end of the inside curb. The track limits on the exit is the red and white curbs. For this left-hander I brake at the drop down on the road and use third gear again. I aim to apex around the middle of the inside barrier and I get back on throttle just before it. At the apex I am all the way onto the inside curb before I begin to open up the steering. You have to be very smooth with your steering here to not understeer wide. On the exit you get a 1x if you run too far over the outside curbs. For the fast left-hander I lift in 5th gear at the cones on the right and just trail brake very slightly to get the car turned in. I avoid the inside curb as at the end of it, where the curb meets the grass, there is a slight bump which can unsettle the car. The rear really wants to spin through here sometimes, so it's very important to be smooth with your steering and brake inputs. I get back on throttle at the end of the inside curb and keep my car to the left to set up for the hairpin. For the hairpin I brake at the end of the wall and the tyre wall on the left and use first gear. My peak brake pressure is 80% and due to the banking of the corner you can carry a lot more speed in than you think. I turn in quite late and keep the car tight to the inside. I get back on throttle at the end of the inside curb. I am quite gradual as when you are coming out of the banking the TC can engage and you can lose the rear, both giving you a bad exit. On the exit you can use all of the curb on the left. For the first chicane I brake in a straight line down 2nd gear. There aren't many good references here, so I use the fence on the right to help judge the distance to the corner. If any of you have a better reference then please leave it in the comments. I get as close to the first barrier as possible and try to set up the exit by taking a later apex for the second barrier. I get back on throttle just after the apex and use all of the exit curb on the left. For the second chicane I brake at the 100 board and use first gear. My peak brake pressure is 75% and I turn in for a late apex to set up the second part of the chicane. I get as close to the inside barrier as possible and gradually come back on throttle before trail braking for the second apex. For the right hander just after, I shift to second and just trail brake slightly. I use all of the inside curb and get back on throttle just after the end of it. The track limit on the exit is the white line. For the double right-hander, I brake around the car's length after the curb on the left and use third gear. I turn in for a late apex for the first part of the corner to get a good run onto the next straight. I avoid both the curbs as I can unsettle the car, and I get back on throttle gradually just after the first curb. You can understeer going over the crest on the exit, so be careful to not get an off track because of this. You can use the red and white part of the curb, but don't go over it as it will give you a 1x. For the final corner, I brake at the board on the left. I use second gear and my peak brake pressure is around 75%. I trail brake to the apex, and you can carry a lot more speed on the entry as you are turning and compressing the zone, so the front tyres have more grip. I apex to the end of the inside curb and gradually come back on throttle to avoid the TC kicking in as you go over the crest on the exit. You can use the red and white curb on the exit, however if you go over it then you will get an off track. So that was a lap of Oulton Park. If you found this guide helpful then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. You can also now become a member if you so wish. And I'll leave you the third person laps at the end of the video. This can be really helpful to see where my car is in relation to curbs and apexes. For this track specifically, the line through both the chicanes is where you can find lots of time if you're struggling.